Today I'd like to talk about events that are in the news a lot. I'm used to dealing with individuals and not the so-called big picture. So I'll be talking about a small story and not the $13 billion international criminal organizations that are living off the misery of the two people I'm talking about here. I was a prison guard for 23 years at the federal penitentiary located in Marion, Illinois. Just like my story is not about the $2 billion a year organization I worked at, this story is about the person on the ground living a real life and feeling the impact of both these organizations. Recently, the news is all about people trying to immigrate to the USA without bothering to do it in a legal way. This is the story of about how one illegal alien helped separate a single mother of two kids from her family and friends and put her into a nightmare world she was not prepared to face. The kind of changed life that I have seen some other people remove themselves from this earthly existence to avoid. A place none of us would wish to be. My grandmother used to say, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. When I looked into the cell and saw the lifeless face of a man who was given more than he could deal with, I have to respectfully disagree with Granny. The story starts on the 12th of June, 2024, when Florentina, and I won't even attempt to say her last name correctly, because I won't. I think it's like Hilaro Iturbide. I'll put it on the screen so you can see it. Was caught at San Ysidro, California port of entry trying to enter the U.S. illegally. She is one of thousands who made the same trip over the border on the same day. The difference was, Flo, as I'll call her, was not going to just be set free like the thousands of others. No, she was going to spend a month in a detention center for criminal aliens and be subjected to interrogation before being turned over to Homeland Security. Despite what you hear in the American news, not everybody who crosses the border is given a free ride and a 5-star hotel overlooking Central Park. Now keep that in mind as this story takes place before Trump was elected president. What I'm saying to you is that the regular reporters and news agencies are not telling you the truth about what is actually happening. Only here, and a few other places, have the contacts and are able to do the research to document the real story of a person who is caught up in this mess that is today's American justice system. The regular news has an agenda. I do too, and that's to let you know what actually happens to a person, not a statistic. We are people, not a cog in a machine. The real story is the experience of those so-called cogs. I was one in the Bureau of Prisons. My story is interesting on a personal level. When you are done here, watch the other videos I have and see what prison is really like, not the Hollywood version of a Supermax prison. But before you do that, hit the like button right now before you forget and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Back to Flo. While I was talking about her, I will show you where they put people like Flo. If you think this is a 5-star hotel, I can tell you from personal experience from behind the wire for 23 years that the place may look spotless, but it hides the violence and fear. The blood can be mopped up and look normal in 5 minutes after the bloody assault. This is not a place for the weak or the timid. The people here are everything from hardcore career criminals, violent gang members, the insane, to the single mother looking for a better life in America. The government attempts to separate the truly dangerous from the regular guy just caught up in the system, but it doesn't always work as they'd hope. A day in detention is like the movie Groundhog Day. Get up and stand to be counted by the guards. Go to the mess hall for the same breakfast every day. If you're lucky, you get to go outside in the hot Southern California sun before lunch. Finally, the evening meal. Play some cards, watch TV, keep to yourself, trust nobody, and wait. In Flo's case, what she's waiting for is a 34-year-old woman by the name of Diana Adeline Martinez, federal prisoner number 14360-506, to make up her mind. While Diana talks with her criminal defense attorney and weighs her chances and options, Flo rots in detention. Flo's fate is in the hands of a criminal facing 10 years in prison. Another fact of life I've seen hundreds of times. No matter what family you are born into, or the gang you join, or the friend you've known all your life, when you're facing 10 years in prison, you'll sell out anybody. Read the book 1984. Your one true love will betray you. The book 1984 is art imitating life. Let's leave Flo for a moment and talk about the criminal Diana, who is keeping Flo in a jail cell. Who is Diana, and how is it that a criminal like her has such power over an illegal alien like Flo? This is the reality of our American immigration and justice system, and the people who put their fate into the hands of the impersonal machine. As a prison guard for all those years, I can tell you that women like Flo and Diana will get no sympathy from me and most of the guards. They both made the choice to be slaves of the state. The 13th Amendment of the Constitution bans slavery, with the exception of the people caught up in the criminal justice system. So if you want to know what it's like to be a slave, follow the example of these two ladies, and you'll get a personal introduction to the reality of modern slavery. By all reports, Diana is an ordinary single mother trying to raise 2 kids. She's an American citizen born in Sacramento, California, to Baltazar and Maria. It seems that her parents were hardworking people who gave Diana and her 3 siblings all the things they needed growing up. The family moved to El Paso, Texas, where, for the most part, Diana grew up. She graduated from high school, and after getting her diploma, she married the Marine that she met when she was 17 years old. Diana moved with her new Marine husband, Alex, to San Diego, California. At first, things were good for Diana and Alex. They had 2 children, Jaden and Jaslyn. But a war beyond the mountains and seas of beautiful Southern California, and Alex was called away in the year of 2011. Like the thousands upon thousands of vets all over America, it appears that Alex was wounded in Afghanistan. Not the kind of injury you can see, but one that can be just as debilitating. An injury of the mind. One I can personally understand and struggle with. I see this injury in the veterans sitting in the waiting room with me almost every time I go to the Veterans Administration Clinic. It's an insidious and destructive injury that hurts not only the victim, but his family. Sad to say, such was the case with Alex and Diana. Their relationship became toxic because of his extreme jealousy and abusive behavior. Diana had to deal with domestic violence issues. They had frequent arguments because of his jealousy. On at least one occasion, Alex tried to take their then infant child after a heated argument. The attempt was the last straw for Diana. She moved to Sacramento, California, and Alex moved to Dallas, Texas. The relationship was over. Alex is not a part of his children's life today and is not supporting them, according to Diana. Diana is a single mother in every respect of the word. When she moved to Sacramento, Diana saw the need to get a better paying job, so she took an 18-month medical assistance program. Because of her training, she got a job to support herself and family. Her employer was very happy with her performance. Diana was in the process of helping her sister move away from an abusive situation in Sacramento when the trouble with her and Flo started at the border with Mexico. It appears that the women in this family have a propensity to get into relationships with abusive men. Having escaped such a situation, Diana saw the need to get her sister in a new place to live quickly. Not an easy feat in Southern California of the year 2024. To make matters worse for Diana, her mother is in a wheelchair having suffered a stroke. Her mom said that she needed Diana to help her get dressed, bathe, and even feed her. Still recovering from a stroke, she could no longer drive, so Diana started driving her to her doctor's appointments and such things like that. I will assume that Diana's mom, Maria, moved to Tijuana because of the cost of living and to be with her husband. Diana's mother's married to a man who owns a construction company in Mexico and needed help taking care of Maria. Diana's sister owns a successful tire shop in Texas, but it's too far away to help with the day-to-day care of their mother. Now, Diana is not some poor woman from a background of poverty and neglect. Her family is made of hardworking, respectable people. They are dismayed that Diana would get herself into such trouble at all, much less face 10 years in prison. The border guards caught Flo in Diana's car trying to sneak into the USA. Flo paid what I assume, to be a Mexican cartel member, $10,000 US to get over the border. Diana probably got $1,000 or $2,000 to actually do the deed. Not a bad deal for the cartel. They collect the majority of the money, and others, like Flo and Diana, take all the risk. It's been reported in the news elsewhere that it's a $13 billion a year scheme. The allure of easy money traps people like Diana. They are told all kinds of lies about how safe it is. Was this her first time doing this? Who knows? And Diana isn't saying. But others have done it over 100 times at $2,000 a trip. One guy said he made $6,000 a week and more. People like Diana are one link in a chain that starts in Central and South America and ends in your hometown. Rumor has it that thanks to the crackdown recently on the border, that the price Flo will have to pay to sneak back again, and I bet she will, is going to cost her $20,000 to $40,000. If Diana's stupid enough to try it again, she'll make perhaps double what she did to smuggle Flo the first time. By the way, this crime is called human trafficking, and some of the humans trafficked end up in forced labor and prostitution. This is not a victimless crime. Everybody but the cartels are losers in this game. What about Flo? Remember when we last saw her, she was rotting in a jail cell. Well, Diana finally made up her mind, and Flo was no longer needed to testify against her. She was turned over to Homeland Security on the 11th of July, 2024, and thrown out of the country. Diana pled guilty to one felony count, was sentenced to 120 days behind the fence. She was released on the 27th of March, 2025. And now faces the additional hardship of being a convicted felon. I wish all the parties well and hope they've learned some valuable life lessons from all this. In a way, you could say that my job in prison was that of teaching life lessons. I bet someday some egghead intellectual who controls the language will change the job title from correctional officer to inmate life coach in Padawan or some other such nonsense. I still prefer guard and convict. You don't have to like the truth, but it's best to hear it and make up your own mind. This is what I do on this channel. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe now before it's too late. I promise it will not kill you.